What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Trust the Profits YouTube page. My name is Colin Sheehan. This is Doubling Down, and I have old friend Vinny Blum back on the show. Vinny, you reached out to me because I decided my guests were doing so bad that I had to put together some standings, and you saw yourself at the bottom there from your old-time performances of being $30 in the red, and you said, I got to come on to get out of last place. So we do what we asked. So you're back. Can you get out?
Yep. I'm hopeful. At least I hope I can pass a couple people if this hits.
You need to win first, and that's what we're going to do coming up on Doubling Down. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks so much for the support. Please like and subscribe here on Trust the Profits YouTube page. We have a lot of content coming your way, including races on the Kentucky Derby Trail. I have my Derby prep show. Matt DeSantis has done his Capping the Card, where he's done very well. And if you tuned in last night, me and Matt did a Aqueduct Pick 5, which was $187,000 carryover, which he hit on a $48 ticket, which was nice and impressive. I got knocked out by not including a Pletcher. Imagine that. So tough day for me, but that's all good. Vinny, how's it going? Good to see you again.
Good to see you too. Yeah, I've been good. Just following the Derby Trail, getting back into it. I did well at Gulfstream today, so that was cool. It was cool that horse Lita paid like $20 in the fifth, so that helped.
Nice. And so what we do here is put together a daily double. And since I know Vinny's big in New York and he's big on the Derby Trail, we have some Derby point races this weekend. The second of the series at Aqueduct, that is the Jerome Stakes, which is where we will start out our daily double. Race 8 and race 9 on your program. We have a couple horses that have earned some points here on the Derby Trail, both in Arctic Arrogance and Andiamo a Firenze. Do these two do anything for you on the Derby Trail?
For overall on the Derby Trail, I actually
Yeah.
really do think Arctic Arrogance has a shot to kind of be one of the top players here on the New York circuit. I don't think he's going to be anywhere near competitive enough to actually like be a major threat. But it wouldn't shock me if he comes out of this out of the New York Trail. I do think this is Linda Rice's best 3-year-old that she's had since she had Max Player. So I am excited to see how this one does here today. Well, Saturday. Adamo e Firenze, I don't think there's a chance this horse ends up in the Derby gate. I think they try him in a couple. I think they're kind of testing the waters here. I do think he's better than a majority of this field, but I think he's a horse that is probably going to spend a majority of his career running against State Bred Company, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I made a mistake. This is actually the third race on the New York series of races for the Derby Prep. So let's dive into it. We're going to jump right first to race 8 on your program for Saturday, January 7th at Aqueduct. We're doing a daily double, as we always do on this show. We like to give you short tickets that hopefully can pay nice. I gave you a nice $40 winner last week with $25 of profit, which has bumped my score up. So I continue to be in the green. And my guests, even Matt, I had Matt on the show who couldn't even get some winners in. So all of my guests have been in the red, and Vinny's back to make a statement on that. And so as we talked about, we have number 6, Arctic Arrogance, your 8-5 favorite out of the Linda Rice barn. This is a horse for me that was really hard to ignore. I try to find my way around the favorites, especially in these doubles. And so when I try to find that, if I can't get around one in the first leg, then I'm going to go around one in the second leg, and we'll get to that in a second. But Arctic Arrogance is a horse that I'm definitely going to have on my ticket this week for Saturday. I think that there's going to be a little bit of a faster pace up front in this race. Would you agree between your the two circling the drain? Andiamo a Firenze has shown early speed. Arctic Arrogance has shown obviously early speed, and the number 8 has even shown speed in the last race. And that has me a little concerned, which is why I'm going to add another horse in this leg in a second. But do you kind of see that playing out the same way?
Yeah, I think there definitely is going to be a little bit more speed here. This 1 mile distance though is tricky. I think there's a couple horses in here probably want to go shorter than 1 mile. So I think it's going to be one of those races where it could be you get quick early and the time home doesn't look all that great because they all stop. Half the field stops before they hit the top of the stretch.
So I have Arctic Arrogance on my ticket. Are you as well?
Yep, yep. Arctic Arrogance is on my ticket. I've really liked this horse. I did a was on my list of horses for Derby futures that weren't actually listed on the official Derby futures. That you could on like Derby Pool 1. Horse was
Hmm.
not on Derby Pool 1 or Derby Pool 2, I believe. Um, I think this is a very good horse. Just missed in the Remsen last time out, so I don't think this is. I don't think that effort was a like a flash in the pan effort. I think this horse is going to be continuously good this year on the New York circuit. I do think he wants to go more than a 1 mile, which is why I added a second horse. But it would not surprise me. I think he's well deserving of the 8-5 favorite. I think he goes off shorter than that, and it wouldn't surprise me if he left this field well behind him uh, by the time they hit the wire.
Yeah, I felt this field was probably a little bit weaker than what came up in the Remsen, even though him and W. Nell kind of put the Remsen field away. Just my general feeling was that this might be a little bit actually easier for Arctic Arrogance. I don't know if you agree with that statement.
Yeah, I do. I do too. I just like. I feel like all these other horses in this race, besides Arctic Arrogance, are using this race as a well. If we win, we can keep or run well. We keep them on the Derby Trail. I kind of think our like this race for Arctic Arrogance is okay. Like we just need to get him on the track because we already know he's on the Derby Trail and he's definitely running in the next prep in the New York circuit as long as he comes out of this race okay.
Yeah.
So that's my only concern is like, like if he's in a tough position turning for home, like behind a wall of horses, is he really going to be asked, or are they kind of just going to do what's safe for the horse and save him for next time? Because I do think far and away this is the best horse in the race.
Yeah, and so I'll bring in the ticket. We both have the 6 Arctic Arrogance. The other horse that I went with was the 7 General Banker. And I kind of was just looking at the fact of, Arctic Arrogance in the 2 races that it won on the front end. It was a little bit slow up front. I think Andiamo Forense has shown some quicker speed in the races that he was up front. And I'm just thinking that maybe if those 2 and 1 more decides to all go, maybe this 7 General Banker, who closed really nicely on December 17th at Aqueduct in the mud, I might add. It's been rainy up in this New England area here. Obviously, the track was sloppy at Aqueduct today. There's a little bit of rain tomorrow. Not necessarily think it's going to be a fast track. I'm not a weatherman as well, but this horse seemed to like the mud, and I liked the 8-1 price. So that's the only 2 horses I'm going to use in this leg. You decided to use the 5.
Yeah, I decided to use Adamo e Firenze. At least today, we'll see how this goes. This might be a ticket that changes by post time. It was very tough to make up any ground today on that track, and if you weren't really in that first flight, you were not winning races. There were a couple races today where horses were trying to come from behind, and they would catch up to the leaders and then flatten out, and then the leaders would just re-break or just keep going. So that's why I decided to use Adamo e Firenze. He's got early speed. I don't think this is the toughest of fields. I think this is kind of roughly the field that he's going to have success against. And I think this 1 mile distance is kind of at his limit. So like if I was ever going to use this horse in a derby in a derby prep, this would be it. So I'm giving him a shot. His last race off a little bit of a layoff wasn't terrible. Um and Kendrick is doing very well here. Obviously, he always
Mhm.
does. So I do kind of trust Kendrick more than I trust some of these other jockeys in this spot. But yeah, I understand where you're going with General Banker, and if the track is playing more fair, I think that is definitely a smart addition if Arctic Arrogance can't get it done.
On to race 9. That is another stakes race going a mile and an eighth This is the Queens County Stakes. You get a field of 11 with your favorite, the 7 Law Professor. If you followed me on Twitter, there's a little angle I've really been kind of playing against and tracking, and that is horses running back from races, Breeders' Cup races. I read this in the Complete Handicapper, where the best play against is horses that actually won a Breeders' Cup race, and I took it one step further and said, well, let's start seeing how horses do second out after the Breeders' Cup. And I think I've only counted 3 that have come back to win. I know Front Run Fred, Taba, and Flash of Mischief are the 3 that I saw that have come back to win. It's obviously hard to keep track of every single one coming back to run, but I certainly notice when they do. And we have the 7 here, Law Professor, who ran in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, finishing 5th to Cody's Wish. So immediately I'm going to take Law Professor, especially since I used the favorite in the first leg. I'm going to try and find my way around the favorite in this leg, and that's an angle that I'm easily using to take out Law Professor. Do you have Law Professor on your ticket?
I don't. I've never really been a big fan of Law Professor. I especially at this 2-to-1 price, I'm with you. I use Arctic Arrogance in the first leg. Unless I'm just playing it cold, I can't use Law Professor as well. So he is one that I am trying to beat here, and he doesn't really like winning. He likes running well, but he doesn't like winning, in my opinion. So I am also against.
He likes winning on the turf.
Yeah, he's 4 for 13 lifetime. He won
2 of those
3
wins on the turf.
Right. So, 5th in the Breeders' Cup. He was 2nd in the Woodward, which wasn't exactly a bunch of world beaters. 9th in the Oaklawn Stakes. He gets his speed figures look nice because of the races he runs in. I particularly have never thought he was that good. So I'm against him.
So where'd you go?
I went a couple places. I do think the number 2 Unbridled Bomber is going to be very tough in here. His last effort, really his last 2 efforts, just make him. I understand why he's 7-2, and I think he's going to get bet down from that. 2 races over this Aqueduct main track, and he's looked much the best, and he looks like a different horse. So I'm going to stick with him. I'm not a huge fan that Dylan's getting them out, but I understand that Irad's not here. So kind of a negative jockey change. Yeah, I think we're both on the 1. We both have 1, 2 actually. We actually 3 of the same. The 1, 2, and the 10. We're all in agreement on. So I will I'll talk about my 8. That's different than you. Cancel's riding. This horse either wins or he's just out the back. It's just one of those type of horses.
But, yeah, I wrote need the lead maybe.
Yep. He's won 2 in a row though. He won the Discovery here last time out. He got a pretty good figure for it. It's Equibase wise. He's run back-to-back triple-digit Equibase speed figures. He definitely, it seems to be need the lead. There is no question about that. But if he gets the lead, he's already beaten. I know you have the 5 Naval Aviator. He beat Naval Aviator last time. I'm not quite sure he'll get the lead here, but I feel like some of the other pace that's in this race, like Seafoam, are just kind of trending in the wrong direction, where he seems to be kind of in the running his best. So I do think there's a chance if Cancel is aggressive that he can get to the lead with this one and not really be challenged. So I'm just at a 10-to-1 price. I would hate to get beat by this horse. So that's why he's on my ticket.
Yeah, and the reason I went with the 5, as you had mentioned, I did see that Eloquist had beaten Naval Aviator fairly, easily in the last race, but that was Naval Aviator's 3rd off the layoff, and the first off that layoff was actually the Pennsylvania Derby against Taba Zandon Cyberknife when he was 175-1, and ended up it ended up getting 100 Brisnet speed figure, which kind of popped to me when I saw that. So then the horse is in an optional claimer, which is a huge drop down. He wins that one, even money. Comes back in that same discovery, as you had mentioned. Puts up the last two races were 92 on the speed figures. And this horse has shown in the past the ability, both at Churchill and Saratoga, to come off the pace and close nicely. I'm hoping that off these last two races, this horse has a nice little bounce in the positive direction that is hopefully enough to come late. And part of that reason as well is the 12-1 price. So same reason you said 8-1, number 8 taking him at 10-1 is kind of the same reason I liked the 5 at 12-1. The number 1 was interesting for us because another 20-1 shot. But what I had just mentioned to you before we taped is this horse just follows the exact same line of races, and Forewarned was actually your 42-1 winner of this exact same race last year. So I like to see when horses are kind of following the same pattern as if they're prepping up for this particular race. Now, you made an interesting point about the date.
Yeah, the last year he Forewarned finished fourth in the Richard W. Small Stakes at Laurel Park, and then that was on November 27th of 2021. Then this race, the Queens County Stakes, was run December 19th in 2021, where he won. This year, the Richard Small Stakes was run on the 26th, which 1 day difference. But now we're running this. Now we're running the Queen County in January on the January 7th. So almost 3 weeks later, this race got pushed back. So I mean, they're sticking with the same plan. It worked last year with what races. So hopefully we get a similar result because it would be really nice at 20-1 to get this one home. And Jose Gomez has been riding great, so that was another reason I added. I added Forewarned, even though he's another one. He hasn't won since April, but I'll use Jose Gomez at 20-1 almost every time over some of these other jockeys.
The other horse we agreed on was number 10, Thomas Shelby, a 7-year-old by Curlin. The reason I liked this horse was the 2-for-4 at the distance, the average winning distance of 7.6 and 8.1 for a race that's going a mile and an eighth was intriguing to me. Some speed figures there, especially the ones that he was putting up at Oaklawn, were attractive. And again, I just needed to find horses that weren't Law Professor who I was interested in. So, we could very easily, Law Professor, could come out and beat us. You don't like him, and I'm playing him against an angle that is done fairly well. But I think if you're going to play against a horse like that, you got to kind of cover yourself with some of those prices because we're going to be texting ourselves pissed off if, a 10-1, 20-1 hits it because we would have, approached it correctly but not had the right horses. So Thomas Shelby is one that I liked as well, and you did too.
Yeah, no, he fits well. Sometimes Jacobson just gets these. He's just kind of getting back into it. He started at the end of Saratoga? Really, he started getting horses again. So he owns and trains this one at the price. I think he's too risky to leave off if you're not. Like you said, you need to use prices. He seems like a logical price to kind of take a stab at. And his last race wasn't bad, and he definitely has some past races that make him very competitive here.
Lastly, one horse name that always pops up is Borbonic, right? Because we remember his 72-1 win in the Wood Memorial, and he hasn't won since. Did you give him any consideration? He's kind of just one of those horses. You hear the name and you're like, ooh, what's he doing? What's he in? And then he just continues to disappoint. Everyone talks about, will Rich Strike win again? You're starting to wonder, will Borbonic win again?
Yeah, I actually looked at him. I saw the 8-1 price on the morning line. I was like, I doubt we get that. I probably get half of that. Maybe a little, maybe 6-1. But I looked at him and I really wanted to like him. But again, like the way that if the track's gonna stay wet at Aqueduct, it is hard to make up ground, and that's what this horse does. That's how he won. He makes up ground. So if you're gonna take if the track is not playing to him making up ground, like he's like you said, he's a horse that's going to get played off the name. He's going to take a lot of money, which I think is another reason why I kind of spread a little bit in this race, was because I know a horse like this is going to take money. And if the track's still playing the same way where it's tough to make up ground, it's just like, there's no way. There's no way he's going to win. Watch, he wins now. He's the only horse all day that closes and wins now. I've done that before,
You
but
just killed both of us.
right, killed both
I
of us.
shouldn't have asked
But,
the last question.
right, you shouldn't have asked it. But like that's like I feel like that's what's gonna happen. He's gonna go off out. He's gonna take money. He's gonna go off like 5-6 to 1, and he's gonna run sixth because he's not gonna make up any ground, and he'll go off 6 to 1 next time too. Like he's a horse that always takes money, and everybody remembers when he won that Wood Memorial coming from the clouds. And like you said, he hasn't done anything since.
Yeah, he
He's
doesn't.
done.
Yeah, he just doesn't close.
No,
He sets up like he wants to close, but then he just never comes.
He needs like an ultra fast pace, and he needs the horses in front to stop moving. Like he's just not very. And like this is like he ran in this. What did he go off in this race last year? Because this is going to be his second start.
6.5.
Yeah, second start off the layoff. Like, yeah, like again, like yeah, he's. I don't know. Second start off the layoff, can he improve? Sure. If Pletcher's got him figured out. I don't think so though.
Yeah, the workouts don't really look like it.
No, I will say though, I would rather use him at the price than use Law Professor as the chalk here. Like if everything came down to it, I would take a swing that he was good enough rather than use Law Professor at sub 2 to 1. I really don't think Law Professor is all that.
Well, thanks for joining us again. Thanks, Vinny, for coming back. I hope we can finally get you out of last place.
Yeah, at least got to move up a little bit. I mean, you have the number of shows there. I have 9 and I'm down 30, and there's some people on there that are like high. Yeah, what? Dennis, I'm gonna throw some shade. Dennis is -18 after 1 show.
Well, that's Dennis. That's how he approaches, right? I think he went all and lost money.
I know, right? Exactly. So that's like, yeah, like I don't know. I need to catch. Obviously, I need to get back in the green. I got to get back in the green, so I'm gonna try to jump on these when you don't have guests. So
you're always welcome, my friend. Thanks again. Like and subscribe. We will post if we decide to make any changes. You can follow us on Twitter in case something happens that affects that. Good talking to you again, Vinny.
Good talking to you, Colin.